Hello, everyone, and welcome to Will Toronto US Chapter Speaker Series. My name is Rachita Ranjan, and I am Coffee Chat Lead with Will Toronto US Chapter. Like both of my guests today, I'm a Canadian woman passionate about technology and DEI, who is aware of challenges of new immigrants and of women, and women of color in particular. We want to help women from diverse backgrounds advance their career in digital world. So without any further ado, please join me in welcoming two powerhouse women of color in technology, Geraldine from Will Toronto US chapter and Nkechi from Empowered in My Skin Incorporation. Thanks for joining me today on the topic of women in technology.
Woo! Yes.
Thank you, Rachita. Thank you, Rachita. Well, I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you, Geraldine. Let me introduce you. Geraldine is an accomplished technology enthusiast with broad experience driving strategic business and IT service operation for over 18 years. Geraldine is currently working with RBC as Director of Authentication Services and Application Support. Outside work, she is on board of Halton Catholic Children Foundation and Women in Leadership Foundation. Geraldine is happily married to Andrew, and they have 3 adorable children. And I have honor of having Geraldine to moderate the coffee chat. Over to you, Geraldine.
Thank you, Rachita. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to have this coffee chat with you amazing women. To discuss women in technology is always a passion of mine, to talk about how we are doing in technology and how we can do much better than we are doing right now. And most importantly, I'm also excited to be speaking with my great friend, Nkechi Nwafor-Robinson, such an inspiration to the world. Nkechi, thank you for accepting to join us here.
Thank you. I'm very excited. And I'm just gonna call it out right from the top. Like I am in rawness, because I have like no makeup, zero, like not even lip gloss, nothing. Like I'm here to have a raw conversation. I love it.
Oh, absolutely, I love it. I know you always bring the whole you to every space you come into. I mean, and you look super amazing the way you are. And viewers, I'll tell you a bit about Nkechi, because this woman here, there's so much I can tell you about her, but let me give you a bit about her. Nkechi is a technology executive with over 20 years in leadership and information technology. She's been across several industries, be it from telecom, consulting, banking. Nkechi has been in every space and been amazing there. She's also an entrepreneur. She's an author, a professional bodybuilding competitor, and an inspirational speaker. Nkechi believes in lifting people, women, men. With her words, her germs, she drops everywhere she goes. She is the founder of Empowered in My Skin, and she runs a podcast. This podcast is all over most major podcast platforms, and it's titled Empowered in My Skin. Please look out for that. And Nkechi also had a viral, inspirational message: "You matter." If you know Nkechi well, you know she always says those 2 words: "You matter." So this "You matter" message had over 10 million views worldwide. Nkechi, thanks for that message. Because that message continues to resonate in my head. Like, it's so powerful. You're definitely an absolutely phenomenal woman. Thank you for joining us on this coffee chat.
Yes, I love it. And Geraldine, out of the gate, day one, you always see people. I always say, don't let anyone think wherever you are is where you stay, and you just continue to rise and get those commas after your name. And, that's the number one message to anyone that's watching Geraldine's life, is like, don't ever let anyone put a period after your name where commas need to, belong. And so keep rising, because you are a powerhouse. Crazy.
Thank you, Nkechi. And I'll go straight into my first question for Nkechi from here. So, Nkechi, what does diversity in technology mean to you? Because it means so many things to so many people. You could look at it from the gender perspective, or from, what does it mean to you?
Well, that's a really, actually, it's a very loaded question, because we could just talk about technology itself, and what diversity within the technology itself means. And I don't think we could talk about diversity without also talking about inclusion, right? So I think it's, technology to me looks like and I'm going to just be so simple. I don't have my phone near me, but even if I just take this technology that we're using now, the camera that I'm using is the quality of the camera shows me in a really great light, right? And once upon a time, like my, cameras didn't show Black people really, really well, and so it's that in any of the technology you're using, regardless of whatever your gender is, whatever your social economic status might be, whatever your ethnicity might be, and that you feel like, oh, okay, this technology is taking care of me, I can trust it, it has my best interests at heart. So that's just from a technology perspective, and tech is in everything, right? But then if I think about like leadership, which is, this is a women in leadership experience, it gets into, and then you sort of take that messaging up. Then it's like, it's the thought life. It's, do we have diversity of thought at the table? And in order to have diversity of thought at the table and in the spaces that we occupy, that means typically that the people that are sharing the space with you, shouldn't be coming from the same household. You know what I mean? Like they should, like technically, right? Like you shouldn't be just hiring, hiring your brothers or sisters or however people identify exactly like you, that think like you, that, really at the table, it shouldn't be like, oh my God, you and me are one. Not from that standpoint. It should be, you and me are one through the experiences that we've shared in life, right? Like that collective experience, like that I can understand your resiliency, because while I haven't experienced it from being an immigrant, but I've experienced it from, growing up in, rural Canada, you know what I mean? Like, so there should be that level of connection. And typically when you look at the person, you should almost be in awe. And I love to use this word, like awe. I like awe, but I also like, it's like, what's that word? It's I look at you and marvel. You should marvel at the uniqueness that's at the tables that you occupy. And if you can't marvel at that, then I would say that your table's not diverse. You should be like, my God, I can't believe that your food of you love jollof rice, and I love fried Chinese fried rice, and I love, you know what I mean, like noodles, and like you should just marvel at, and then we work so well together. Like we should have that kind of marvel at the tables that we occupy, that while we all look so different, wow, we are collaborating, we're meshing, we're getting along, we're working together, and there's a sense of unified progress that we're making forward together, because our experiences are what connects us, right?
Yeah, definitely agree with you on that, really. Really, the simple truth is that diverse teams perform better because there's more room for creativity, innovation, ideas, different perspectives. So yeah, I definitely feel you on that. And then my next question for you is around something I've heard you say in the past, You kind of mentioned it in passing. You said there's an advantage to being the only woman of color in the room. Because when you open your mouth, people listen. Can you expand on that a bit, Nkechi?
Yeah. I'm going to actually share an experience that actually started to form that paradigm in my head. I was part of a Vismin program at the company that I recently just resigned from, but and in this Vismin there was a number of different nationalities in the room, and this one Asian, I believe she identified as woman, I'm just going to say Asian woman, and when she spoke, like everyone was kind of heads down. I remember people were on their phones, or, groups were talking, like people were talking to each other. And then she spoke, and I see people like automatically, just her speaking and the intonation, like the tonality, the accent, made people look up to see who was speaking, right? Made people look up. And in that moment, that just kind of mesmerized me. And it made me realize that there's power in being unique. So I like, I typically just say there's power in being the only. So when
Yeah.
I talk about it, it's like, I would still tell you that if I'm in a room with 10 Black women and everyone, like, skin color wise, we kind of all look the same, we have the same shade, and I still want to be the only. You understand what I mean? Because that is when you are finding your uniqueness and recognizing that if you then marry that uniqueness with your superpowers, the things that make you who you uniquely are, that's where the power is. And so I was trying to, so there's a couple of things I typically just do naturally as a human is, I get that there's a plight, there's definitely a plight, especially about getting Black people into this, more senior spaces in an organization. And we often talk about the reasons why it's important, because we're the only at the table. And a lot of people talk about the only from the paradigm of it being lonely, it being whatever. And I said, well, what if I can also provide another perspective so that people that are occupying the spaces where they're the only, because there is work that needs to be done to make sure that we're not the only in the room, but that's not my fight. That is somebody else is doing that fight. But the fight that I want is that I want to empower the unique human sitting at the table. And so I want to change your paradigm as to how you consider yourself as the only, because until that fight is done and there's more people in the room that make you feel comfortable, you have the responsibility to make yourself stand out, for you to sit in that room in all of your amazing uniqueness and thrive. That is my passion. And so that's when I start to use that language, that there's power about being only in the room, and all you need to do is find it. And where you find it is from within.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, thank you for that. That is so powerful. Because it's only you. You always show your uniqueness. You always have something. There's always something about you. So come out being you.
Come out being you. And I will tell you why it's really helped me.
Yeah.
Because my mom's quote that she told me years ago, any path without obstacles is a path that leads to nowhere, right? And so I have realized in my life, one of the common threads I have, and even as I step into new opportunities, is I'm a trailblazer. And in order to stay in the space of a trailblazer means that you need to go down paths where people, let's say, that don't look like me, just people that look like me, or like me, that that they're not on. Like, I kind of see, oh, okay, there's a lot of people that look like me down this path. Okay, let me try. Yeah, there's no one. Okay, I'm on it. Because I love being the first. I love being in the forefront. I love opening the door wider so that more people can come behind me. Why go down a path where there's already so much congestion? And you're just really, but what if you can create more opportunities, and just be willing to take those hits, and I know I just like take and then all of a sudden it's like it starts to move smoothly, and then all of a sudden you look behind and
wow,
there's all these people coming, right? And so I think about it's kind of out there. I think I could say it. I just resigned. I resigned from TD recently, and I think about some of the comments that I've read and need to respond to. But some of the comments I've read have been how I gave people permission. And that can never, if I didn't realize that there was a need, there was a path where people were not feeling like they could be themselves, and just decide that I'm going to just try to really figure out what being myself looks like, I wouldn't have those comments. You get what I'm saying? And so that's in large part why I really started to share that message and share it with a level of conviction, because more of us can feel comfortable in the skin that we're in and the spaces that we occupy if we seek that from within ourselves.
Nkechi, thank you so much for that, and God bless your heart for putting out yourself to be that trailblazer for others, opening the door for others, going out to take all the heat so that people can be able to come in after you. So thank God but with that being your motivation, That is absolutely amazing. So thank you. God bless you for that. And I never can attest to the fact I've been in so many spaces where people talk about all your amazingness, what your inspiration has done to their careers, their life, they as a human being. You've been an amazing person, and I bet everyone who follows you sees that. So that goes without saying. But well done, and God bless you for having the heart to be a trailblazer for others.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then my final question for you today is around entrepreneurship. We know you. We know you are a successful entrepreneur. I know your powerful brand, Empowered in My Skin. The brand says it all. And I recall that one of your goals, you had mentioned in some space I was in that you have the goal of being a billionaire by influencing 1 billion people. And I know you're on that path. I know your social media feed that went viral had over 10 million views. And that was many years ago. I'm not even sure where it is at right now, but it got over 10 million views a few years ago. So you're on that path. What are you doing to get to that billion? Because I see you going. So what is that you're doing to get there? You can share with us.
What I will share is, so thank you. Any platform I have where I can actually express that, it's not to impress people, but it's really to express what's possible when you have a big vision for your life. And, they say that, what is it? Shoot for the moon and land, or shoot for the stars and land on the moon type. There's that expression, which is why we all need a big vision. And I think that's been even more evident in the last 2.5 years where, COVID, potentially silenced a lot of people's dreams. And in large part, some of that was inflicted because our visions for ourselves are not big enough, and the vision that I have for my life, there's no COVID that can come and derail it. You get what I'm saying? Like somewhere that path is just so big that there's going to be avenues that enable me to like figure out a way to pivot and keep rising. And so I have it on my vision board that my number is 500 billion. And
whoa.
And I put the number on there. I mean, I found it in a book, at the end of the day, what's his name? Jeff Bezos, I mean, what he's worth, 185 billion. Yeah. I mean, so far as a human, it's a human has achieved it. It's possible, so why can't it be possible for you? Sometimes we don't even put it, like nobody's shooting me because I have 500 billion on my vision board, right? Like it's not a sin. It's not, there's no harm, but sometimes we don't put those stuff because it's like, well, nobody's gonna believe me. Your vision is not to be believable, right? I didn't create a believable vision. I created it for myself, a North Star, something that keeps me going, something that there's no COVID, there's no pandemic, there's no words that people can say that will prevent me from continuing to strive to that. So that's number one. It also becomes your North Star in all of the spaces that you occupy. And so in 2018, for example, when I built that at an event that was ran by Nicole Wright, she's amazing, thought leader. I didn't have a viral video. I wasn't even a public speaker then. I wasn't a paid for hire speaker. I'm trying to even remember the timing between when I became an executive at TD Bank to when I wrote that. And even then I was using my platform, but it wasn't really, really massive. And even then was I even in the millions when it came to my finances and all this and the other? But the bottom line is, once I wrote that, and once I had that vision in front of me, and once I start to speak it, things start to open up. And suddenly now I have a wealth advisor. Like, I don't talk about money, I talk about wealth. You know what I mean? I talk about investing. I'm an angel investor to a company that just raised $4 million in seed funding, right? Like protects, like, it's just like, all of a sudden I was in a room last week with billionaire Robert J. Smith. Yeah. Yeah. And so you start to get yourself into spaces like where you can, and I took a picture of it, like where you're hanging out with billionaires, you know what I mean? Like, so
oh my God.
Right? And so I will always say to people, write your vision, make it plain. The how you get to it is none of your business.
Oh my God, that's powerful.
Right? Write a vision, make it plain, start to articulate it, actually get to a point. I remember when I used to tell people I'm a multimillionaire because I used to do my I am statements when I would speak, and people would laugh because I'd be like, whatever your I am statement needs to be, right, I am a millionaire, and people would be like, and then one year I kept saying it. And remember one time I was in a room and I said, I am a multimillionaire. And I expected people to laugh. And Geraldine, nobody laughed. So I said, hold on. I'm just curious, who here believes that I'm a multimillionaire? And people were like, I was like, wow. So this is what I'm saying, like, before you achieve it, you have to believe it.
Yeah.
You can't achieve what you don't believe. I'm not a multi-million. Well, depends. Like if you think about my house is multi.
Total wealth. Your total wealth. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a multi-millionaire, right? Like, and so if you can believe it, you can achieve it. You understand what I'm saying? But you got to believe it first. Yeah.
And Nkechi, I agree with you on that. You got to believe it, and also put out what what you want for yourself.
Yes.
And I said to people, I even say to my kids as well, say what you want for your life. Say it.
Yes.
The world is listening.
Yes.
It is the world is listening.
Yes. But can I add
that is what you want. Say what you want.
But can I add to that? It's so important what Geraldine is saying. You have to say what you want, because the universe is eavesdropping constantly. So if you say you want sadness, you will manifest sadness. Yeah? So you have to actually say what you want, because you're constantly manifesting. So be mindful. It's important. I just have to add that. Make sure that people understand.
Thank you, Nkechi. Yes, the universe is listening. Yeah. Ask and you shall receive.
Amen. Amen. No matter what. There's Trevor Noah says, and sorry, are we over this podcast? Like, are we run over time? But Trevor Noah said that it was funny because it was I went to watch him, he's a comedian, and he said he says there's been all these conspiracy theories about the pandemic and quarantine, and he says, but I know what it is. He says, I know really what it is. And then he went in and talked about how we manifested it. We kept saying, oh, I want more time with you, honey. I wish we didn't have to go to work. Or I want to spend time with my kids. I want to spend more time with my kids. And the genie was just like,
and then we had it. You asked for it and you got it.
Happened.
I know. Thank you so much, Nkechi. Like, I could spend lots of time with you. You're just such an amazing human. I always love to be with you and chat with you. Well, thank you so much. This last 10 minutes to 12 minutes has been an amazing time spent with you. I hope the viewers got inspired with all you said, because I'm going away here with so much inspiration.
Thank you.
Please, everyone, draw up your vision boards. Well, thank you for spending time with us.
Thank
Rachita,
you.
hand back to you.
Oh, thank you both of you for such a wonderful coffee chat. I learned a lot, and I hope our audience did too. I would also like to thank our audience for tuning in, and hope to see you next time. Till then, take care. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.